Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly, and I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes, so I fled to the cellar, in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. At the far wall, I found a rectangular panel of wood and several stacks of charcoal. My materials were obviously nothing compared to what a court artist might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to do the portrait any kind of justice. God, what am I doing? I want to bury my head in the sand. Giselle was waiting for me in the stained glass chamber. It seemed she was still just as uncomfortable as when I had left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before averting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual, it would make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek?
What should I be doing?
Stay perfectly still, please.
Do you need me to pose or anything?
No, just get comfortable. Look away.
Why?
It's hard to work when you're watching me. What?
I feel like I have to sneeze.
Hold it in, please. What now?
Can I see it?
I've barely drawn anything yet. As long as our eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, and my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose, but Giselle. At first I had regretted my in-the-moment proposition, but I was beginning to think it hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would never have been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have that kind of courage. This isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being a sharp-tongued, unapproachable recluse? Was that what I wanted to strive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that had always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we ever ended up so comfortable around each other, that she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. I had stopped sketching at some point. God, man. This is intense.
What in the world was going on? One of my roses had finally bloomed, which I thought would put a smile on Michelle's face. But rather than improve his mood, it had made him go all strange. It had made him say he wanted to draw something. I had never seen Michelle draw anything before. I can't sit still. I tried to sneak peeks of him every once in a while, but any time our eyes met, he would give me a stern look that way stare. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking up at the Archangel instead of the stained glass window. Archangel. Oh, wait, what?
In the stained glass window.
What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who would consider a drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me? No, not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michelle's attracted to me. And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. He compares me to an obese rat and calls me an amateur at chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Huh? Oh, yes?
If it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This might take a very long time to complete.
Oh, no trouble.
You had a very stern look on your face, is all.
I was doing that bad a job at hiding it?
I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask of you, I'm sorry.
Honestly, it's no trouble. I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all.
I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not a talent I was blessed with. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have bad art drawn of them.
What? What's he getting so negative about? I wasn't the only one making a face. His head was turned slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I had never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who had just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't at all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, Master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was so enchanting, I lost myself in it. I would be happy with anything drawn for me by the man I love. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I had said, my mind had gone blank and I couldn't form a coherent thought. I mean, like family. You're like an older brother to me. I mean, love for a brother. Hey, say something, Master. Give me your usual exasperated sigh, come on now. Go on, give me your best good grief, and then hurl me out the window. Come on, please, show me some disappointment. Master? Oh. When the wood panel he was using as a canvas and the charcoal in his hand crashed to the hard floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. I didn't have the presence of mind to wonder why he had knocked over the canvas, or why his hands appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped towards him, and when I did,
the moonlight shining down upon us intensified,
and our gazes,
of jade and ruby, intertwined. This is my alarm song, and of all the alarm songs I've had, this is the one where listening to it by itself does not trigger fucking numb flashbacks to waking up. It's just that soothing and lovely. This is the first song I think of now when I think of the emotion love.
There was a visible rosiness in his ethereally pale cheeks. Master? Flickers of panic darted beneath the surface of his normally stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over at me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon's spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in a frozen world, robbed of all rational thought. Riding the moonlight's current, his hand fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I had expected, but it felt pleasant on my flushed skin. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart, too. His breathing stopped for a moment, then he gulped. He brought his head in. I closed my eyes and I shoved him away with all my strength. Michel rolled back, knocked his head on the side of the pew, and began groaning in pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. What have you done, Giselle? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Are you hurt?
I'm fine.
Sorry. You startled me. I really, truly didn't mean to knock you down.
You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. Get some rest. Good night.
He turned away, marching off into the corridor enshrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I had caused that, but I hadn't realized it till it was too late. It felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm going to hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping you would say it was just one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened and tomorrow go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him. And that was no mistake. You wouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happily with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him. Find him and tell him the truth.
What am I doing, for God's sake? I'm not in my right mind. Something about me was off today. I couldn't control myself. I was saying things I didn't mean, doing things I didn't intend to. I had never meant to do that. But at this point, I had no choice but to admit my feelings. I couldn't pretend I didn't know what they were anymore. How long had I felt this way? A week? A month? 6 months? Or maybe a full year. Had they already developed when we started anew? No, the when didn't matter. It didn't change the facts. I was still attracted to her, regardless of when it had begun. But she pushed me away, quite literally. I sighed at myself. Why should I be disappointed? She was nothing like me. I was reclusive and unsociable. She was the exact opposite. She was the kind of person who would confidently tell someone how she felt. And she had done exactly that. Said I was like a brother. But I hadn't listened. As a matter of fact, could I have been any more presumptuous? I don't deserve to love anyone. It's better this way.
Master!
What? I told you to go back to your room.
Master, I need you to listen to me, okay?
What?
About what just happened, that doesn't count. You can't count any of that.
Huh?
That I said I loved you and then I shoved you, they don't count.
Right, I was planning to forget that anyway. So don't worry.
No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that it's not something I should have said on a whim just because the moonlight was kind of pretty tonight. It wasn't supposed to be so casual. The way I said it doesn't get across at all how much I really care about you. It should have been something with more impact, rather. Me looking straight into your eyes, my heart jumping around like it's on fire. That's how I should have said it.
What are you...
I'm saying, I want you to give me one more chance to do it right.
Giselle...
I
Calm yourself.
I am calm.
In no sense of the word are you calm.
Fine that I'm not calm, but I am clear-headed. I mean every last word. Listen very carefully. I love you. I love you so much. I feel like my heart is going to explode.
What? Huh? You mean like family? Like a brother, right?
Romantic love! Romantic!
What?
I wasn't upset back there. No, I was elated.
What? My mind couldn't keep up with what I was hearing. Half out of breath where she stood, Giselle was frantically insisting that she loved me. Was I dreaming?
Master? How do you... I would like to hear how you feel about me. Assuming I interpreted that correctly, you were going in for a kiss back there, right? Right? So, can I take that as your answer?
Giselle looked up at me with bleary eyes. She had feelings. For me. It was a miracle. I could hardly breathe. It felt like someone had stuck their hand in my chest and was squeezing my heart. I just had to say yes, and a smile would spread across her face. I could bring her joy, and all it would take was a single word. I had no reason to say no. My happiness was standing right there in front of me. What more could I ask for? All I had to do was reach out and claim it for myself. I had tried to do exactly that in the chapel, and I could do it again. I loved her. I was a twisted man, cast out of the world and left with nothing. I had no way to make her happy. But still, Don't tell me you've forgotten what you are.
Tell me!
There was no moonlight to give me that nudge. Do you not feel the same way about you? I got confused for a moment. I apologize for the misunderstanding that seems to have caused. All the color drained from her, like a flower wilting before my eyes. A heavy sigh spilled from her lips. Her jade eyes swayed lifelessly back and forth. I hadn't thought mere love could possibly have such weight. But she looked as though I had just told her she was to be executed.
I see. I'm sorry. I let it get to my head. Sorry for making such racket. Really, God, what was I thinking? I got way ahead of myself there.
Her faux energy hurt to watch. I had hurt her, and this was the result.
You wanted to protect yourself, even if it meant hurting her. But look where that got you. You would have been better off just going with it. Because when she learned the truth, she would have pushed you away anyway. I'm sorry. I'll be going now. Sorry for barging in on you like that.
She made her way into the shadows toward the door.
There, you did it. You preserved your peace.
I got the feeling she would never again turn back.
Your mistake was ever getting close to anyone.
What I had always wanted was right there in front of me, and I was so close to obtaining it.
And you pushed her away.
I actually did love her.
She would never love the real you. No, she couldn't.
Huh. I think this is...
You're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me.
Gonna need to workshop that voice.
Good night, Master.
She was leaving. I wanted her here and she was leaving. I simply had to acknowledge my feelings and she would come back. Was I really content to let her go? In my weakness, I mistreated her. I hurt her. I let her go and I was about to lose her. Even though she said she loved me, and I felt the same way. Wait! Please don't go!
Your voice is shaking like a scared child's. What are you hoping to tell her like that?
She was different. She was probably... No, she absolutely was nothing like anyone in my past.
She won't be any different.
I decided I would try just one more time. To believe in myself and to believe in someone else. I lied. Giselle, from the bottom of my heart,
You'll regret this.
No, I won't. I sincerely love you. The fragrance of rose enveloped me. Her arms, wrapped around my chest, were both imbued with strength and shaking like mad, as though the slightest touch might shatter them.
Why did you just say that in the first place?
She said in a quavering, sniveling voice just inches from my ear. I lacked sufficient control over my mind or body to return her embrace, to run my hands through her hair, or to do anything more than support her weight. I'm sorry.
Jerk! Bully! You don't get to play this one off as a Jew!
I am truly, sincerely sorry.
You've given me two different stories. Tell me which one's the truth. Are you just confused, or do you actually love me? I want to hear you say it again.
The truth is, I love you.
Again!
I love you.
Without fumbling this time.
I love you, as I've said several times now.
Not good enough again.
Have mercy, please. I'm about to die of humiliation.
Can I really believe you this time? You're not gonna say you were lying again?
No, I won't.
Then we both feel the same way about each other.
Shockingly enough.
What's there to be shocked about?
I didn't think there was anything likable about me.
You really have to do something about that pessimism.
I'll try.
cry.
You are all over me.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. When you first said no, everything went black. I wasn't sure what I would do anymore. I had lost all hope.
I really do feel bad about that.
But you had a change of heart. Now you're willing to have me.
Yes.
And everything I bring with me.
That was the idea.
Absolutely everything, right?
You're pushing that point rather hard.
I have a request.
Huh?
It's something I don't think I could ask you at any time but now, while we're in the moment.
I will do anything as long as it is within my ability. Tell me, what is it?
Will you look at my naked body?
What?
More specifically, my scars. You are going to have to see them eventually, in which case I would like that to be now.
A year ago, I had refused to look at her scars. I had been certain I wouldn't be able to accept what they represented, the abuse my father had subjected her to. If possible, I would have preferred never having to face that. But I, more than anyone, needed to know. It was my responsibility. I had to accept reality, not grimace or avert my eyes. I had to face up to what had been done to her. Okay. Oh, man. I couldn't bring myself to look at her as she hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustling made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense my joints were practically creaking and my heart felt like it was being stepped on. I feel like I'm made of stone.
I'm ready. You can turn around.
All right. I'll count to 10. She's laughing at me.
I feel a whole lot better seeing you so nervous.
I'm turning around.
Okay.
Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but she couldn't hide the pink flush spreading across her cheeks. It contrasted well against her white but not excessively pale skin, as did her jet black hair.
Sorry, it's not anything nicer to look at.
That was a bit too playful.
Sorry, it's not anything nicer to look at.
In what way was this not a pleasant sight? I had never been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure of comparison, but I was certain the same sight of any other woman in the world would not have had the same effect on me. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. Were I more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which perhaps would have brought a sheepish smile to her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce were incoherent rasps.
Please say something. I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm unclean.
You're not hideous.
You mean it?
I mean it. Why would you think so?
Because
You are not unclean. Not in the slightest.
You mean it?
I do.
Even seeing this?
Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following her lead, I dropped my gaze to her lower body, and there I saw her scars. Swollen, red and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. As she had described for me, the lines were arranged to form letters carved into her skin. So that's why she said I would have to see them eventually. My instincts told me these were wounds she would carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated at the fact that the person who had done this was out of my reach, at the fact that I could do nothing for her. What went through my father's mind when he looked at these? What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? Why my father of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain, but I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal stakes piercing the walls of my heart, blood streaming through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? What was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I came up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her, that I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind. You are in no way hideous, no matter what marks are left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence.
Thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. When I was down in the village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. That made me think I had reached the point where I was so tainted, anyone could see it. I'm sorry.
Why should you apologize?
You were frowning really intensely. I thought I might have made you mad.
No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villagers, and myself. May I touch them?
You may.
My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favors by hesitating. As soon as my fingertips brushed her skin, she shuddered. Does it hurt?
No, there hasn't been pain in some time.
I could feel her trembling where I touched her. It didn't seem like it was going to subside anytime soon. Soon, she began whimpering softly. Her lips moved as though she was trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. Tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well.
I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but I also kind of hate myself.
Hate yourself? But why?
Because I can't stop shaking. I'm overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I keep seeing flashes of you doing other things in my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way I feel in my heart.
I was foolish to have ever thought these wounds might have healed. Just as scars remained on her body, so too did they remain on. Just as scars remained on her body, so too did they remain in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds, though, the ones inside her seemed to still be raw and bleeding. She just did a good job of acting normal. She just did such a good job of acting normal that I had begun to think she might have gotten past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there because it brought back those memories?
That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry.
Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him?
What?
Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire, I might be able to make it happen. Cast a curse on him, perhaps even a fatal one. Ignore the fact that he's my father. I don't consider that man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. If, hypothetically, such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him?
No, I would not want that.
Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what that man did, he deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you, you're still shaking more than a year later. And you can just let him get away with it out of the goodness of your heart? Hypothetically, if you wanted to curse him, I
wouldn't do it even hypothetically. And not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just a coward.
A coward?
If curses were real, and he were to die by one, then I would never, ever be able to forget. If my resentment for him took his life, that would mean he had damaged me so permanently I was never able to get past it. I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking now, but one day I want to be able to proclaim proudly that it no longer has any control over me.
Fuck yes, I need water. I'm gonna drink to that. Jesus Christ. Man, these scenes just make me forget I'm sitting here pressing buttons on a controller. This is just... fuck. Scenes like this are why this is my favorite story ever told. Certainly why it's my favorite love story ever told.
But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you asked out of concern, and that's more than enough for me.
A soft smile spread across her lips, but all it inspired in me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was still trembling so much. But what was I to do? What was I, unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bollingers, to do? Also, I think it's Boulanger. Just for consistency's sake, I'm probably going to still be pronouncing it Bollingers here. But in perhaps a future project with, say, some professional actors, including myself, perhaps we'll change it to Boulanger. Ooh, such a tease. I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't I? I couldn't do anything, could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think, to stop running from the problem, to figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses or angry words. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle.
Huh?
I took the hand that had been tracing her scars and slid it around her waist. Even now her trembling showed no signs of abating. I will never. The one thing I could do, hurt you again, was to wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you here with me. All I ask of you now, for now, is to be at my side. You can be scared and you can quiver, but please don't apologize for it. Please don't feel bad about it. I promise not to turn my head away from your pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. I have no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I am a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can for you. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Muffled whimpers resonated against my shoulder where she had buried her head. Eventually, they grew into unfettered sobs. And my bedchamber was enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usually strong-willed, cheerful, optimistic Giselle wailed from the depths of her soul. This past year, she had constantly been nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments where she had wanted to cry like this, but couldn't. So starting now, I was going to try and support her too. I was sure I would mess something up, as I had little experience being caring. I would probably anger her, probably stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I had found my resolve. I had overcome my hesitation. I was sure I could do it. That I could create a place where she could find peace. I could surely. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. I had, as I said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She had a decidedly non-childlike frame, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other's warmth through my clothes. Between sniffles, Giselle said softly,
One day, I'm certain, I'll be able to, without any hesitation, be properly joined with you, and it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can't control the shaking, but eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too.
The affection infused in every word, in each and every word, was palpable. I probably didn't do that justice, but I'll leave it. Some time later, she drifted off to sleep, exhausted. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams. Wow. Oh, man. What a fucking scene. Like, what can you even say about that? Oh. Beautiful. Of any scene in anything I've ever witnessed that deals in healing, overcoming trauma, even just one step at a time, just taking one step toward healing. None have compared. None have even come close to comparing, I don't think.
Like, what, there's Good Will Hunting. It's okay. That's a great movie, but compared to that, fucking baby shit. Oh, my God. I'm sure there are other great scenes like that. There are. But that has emerged as part of the upper echelon, you know? Morning. No, afternoon. Master! Oh. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, come on. Put a little more oomph into it. Same Giselle as always. I must say, last night was something, Master. I didn't know you had that in you. Just thinking about it. Ow! Hey, that hurt. What was that for? I was struck with an insatiable urge to whack you. Whatever happened to your heartfelt desire to do whatever you can for me? I don't think hitting me counts. You're tough enough to get over a little bunk. You're being so nice yesterday. Where did that go? Oh, God. Already, this scene has just begun, and already it's melting my fucking heart. And CCO playing Does Not Help Matters. So, would you like to explain why you're making dirty jokes first thing in the morning? Ah, yeah, just... I was trying to lighten the mood to hide my embarrassment. Fair enough. Alright, but could you not joke about that in the future? I didn't actually do anything to you. No, you didn't. Sorry. Say, could I ask you something? Yes? You hardly ever use my name. It makes us feel so distant. Could you do something about that, maybe? Babe? That was me laughing. Oh my God, that was amazing. No. That is not you at all. Just go with my name, please. We've graduated from a master-servant relationship to a romantic relationship, but that is a bit much. Romantic relationship? Exactly. So, in honor of the new us, let's make this last, all right? Michelle? All right. Whew. Why did it fade out? At the time, the light that had entered our life seemed unreal and fantastical, but I prayed that it would indeed last. In hope of an equally bright future, I allowed myself to rejoice in the moment, letting the unconquered shadows that lurked in my peripheral remain unseen. Oh, and we will get to those shadows.